Good morning. Actually, it's good afternoon. I'm out here on the beautiful farm doing a little bit of weed control and cleaning up the old flower pots and things like that before the boss returns in a couple days. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day again. And as I am just doing these mindless tasks, the conversation starts up again, the musings. And here is what was rising up. When a person or a soul is so degraded in their self-image, when they are completely convinced by themselves, by their own conclusions, that they are no good, they are worthless, they have nothing to contribute to life, to this world. When we are steeped in such a self-loathing, even when people come to affirm us, come to validate us, tell us our value, tell us that we are loved, even if God tells us, son, you are loved, daughter, you are loved, the voice of our subconscious is stronger than that, and we don't usually believe it. We might assent to it with our conscious, logical, and intellectual mind on one level, but we don't feel it. We don't feel it deep down inside. Hello, baby. Hi. Hi, sweetheart. We don't feel it deep down inside, and often our actions and words don't line up because of that. And even for me, I mentioned this before, when I was a Christian for most of my life, 35 years, if I count from childhood, 47 years, being born into it, into religion. Even though I heard all my life that God loves me, the circumstances of life were telling me otherwise. In other words, the actions and events of life were not lining up with the message of God loves me. Like, my life was hard. If God loves me so much, why is he not doing anything about my abusive dad? Why did God allow my dad to terrorize us psychologically and emotionally? You see, this is where God loves you and the events, the actions in life don't line up. And it's a cognitive dissonance. It's a lie. And that's why hearing that God loves me, even trying to believe it, did not help, because the experience of life was louder than the so-called voice of God. The experience in life was proving the opposite. And the experience is what imprints on the psyche. The experience was to the contrary, that I was loved. In fact, I felt quite forsaken for many years and a victim to the circumstances surrounding the abuse from our dad. So there is this dichotomy that twists the soul, and it takes a lot of self work, it takes a lot of self care, self healing to correct this distortion that happened to the soul through the abusive experiences. And so it may not be enough to hear that God loves you, or to have other people tell you that God loves you or that they love you. You need experiences that prove this, and they're not always easy to come by. So basically, you have to create a loving environment and experience around yourself and within yourself. You have to create this invisible bubble, this invisible environment of nurture and love for self. And you have to dig deep into the childhood events that formed the distorted image on the inside on how we feel about ourselves. If we feel undeserving and unloved and unworthy, we have to find out why. Ow, kitty! Ouch! Claws! We have to find out why. And now, as adults, rational adults, we have to reason ourselves through that from the higher awareness, from the divine spark. And it's hard when you don't have the divine connection. It's almost impossible to stay above water. But I've had the fortunate event of experiencing an awakening, a kundalini that connected me to my higher self, and now my higher self can reparent me, can set me, align me correctly with my personal self-image. And you have to correct your own life, you have to correct your own experiences by giving yourself all the love that the world around you can't give you. Right? So, what was I saying now? Yeah, it's not enough to hear people tell you God loves you or for God to love you. You need to work on the imprinting and the wounds that you sustained through the abuse of life. And you have to find an explanation and meaning for it. That's different from thinking and believing that you deserve that you must be a bad person to having deserved the abuse. Usually when someone abuses us, it's because of their own lack of self-image. They had an upbringing that was misaligned and abusive, and so they can just pass on what they know, right? So it's a generational problem of trauma, cycles of trauma. And once we can forgive ourselves, we can forgive our ancestors as well, and we recognize the source of this distortion. So, love yourself. You are the salvation that you're looking for. There's no one outside of you who can correct you. Only you can do it.